journals of high impact, 3 books, and undertaken 16 research grants. He has been awarded with DBT Center for Excellence Award, also has been Overseas Associate to Agroscope Switzerland, SICI SMP Fellow to York University, Canada, and had visited Shizuoka University, Japan. He has been extensively working on soil and plant microbiomes and environmental genomics. He has been awarded from Spencer Society for Environmental Sustainability and Asian PGPR Society for his research contributions. He has 2 Indian patents granted. Sir, we are grateful to you for your presence despite your busy schedule. We have an exciting lineup of topics and interactive sessions planned for the day. We encourage all of you to participate actively, exchange ideas, and make the most of this opportunity to learn and grow together. Without further ado, let's begin this journey of learning and discovery together. Now, I would like to invite Professor Piyush Pandey, sir, to take a stage and enlighten us. Thank you.
So before sir takes over, I request our volunteers. I request Dr. Govind Sharma. So I request Dr. Govind Sharma to please felicitate, sir. So now, floor is yours.
So if my presentation can be shared.
PPT share.
So very good morning to all of you, all present here in this program. The attendees, the organizers. First and foremost, I am grateful to the organizers, Mr. Govind Sharma, Dr. Kevalya, both of them my very close friends, and MMTC for giving me this opportunity to be here today and to share some of my views and opinions on a very interesting topic, that is the recent trends and challenges in the research in higher education. And I have been told to be to address some of the issues of IKS, so I have put IKS perspective along with it. Now, before coming to the topic, first and foremost, how we come to know, how we know that what the research is, why we should do it, and what is the significance of doing research as an academician, as a researcher, and how it is important for the growth of the institute, the individual, and overall the nation. In fact, जैसे हम बोलते हैं वासुदेव कुटुंबकम, the research does not belong to an individual institution or an individual person. The research belongs to the globe, to the world. So from this perspective, we need to build our research ideas and perspectives so that it contributes towards the growth of the nation as well as to the world. But are we really doing it? Are we are doing research, whether our research is based more on the application side, more on the basic side, or more on the interest side? Now, there is a balance which should be made while doing it, And that's why in today's lecture, I will be critically analyzing and critically putting up some of the challenges which is being faced by the nation, by the country, and what are the future aspects which should be taken up and considered by the scientists, by the social scientists, by everyone who is doing research in this country. And I will invite your opinion and critical thinking in the critical thinking process, because you all are academicians and active researchers by yourselves. I think this topic will also illuminate some ideas in your thought process, and you will come up with some brilliant forthcoming perspectives for this. So without taking more time, I just move to the next slide, where I try to put the definition of research or anusandhan. Now, if you go and see the definition of research, you will find this is not a new topic. We all study about research, what is research, and during our research degrees, we are made to learn about these definitions. In fact, I have brought three very classical research definitions. There can be many more. There are many more, in fact, but I found these three very, very apt and very suitable to present here. First one is from the Paton, where in 1979 he defined research, which is a systematic, formal, rigorous, and precise process employed to gain solution to the problem or to discover and interpret new facts and relationships. Now, while we study while we do the research methodology process, we should always focus on the research which is a problem which always requires a solution. I remember there is some a parallel. There is a society which gives award to some of the research papers which had been published on topics of no significance, and that's why where I made this I put this definition here on the slide. I remember one incident where I was reading about one of the research where some of the scientists from India itself, and they measured the surface area of elephant skin in different elephants. Now, this is a research. If you collect the data, you will get the data, and you will also find, you can also correlate and you can present it. And this is a real paper. If you go and do the Google search, you will find this paper. But what was the significance of this study? Why this was being done? Whether the elephant was getting benefited, or whether the human or the society or the environment, we don't know. So what was the real depth of the study? What was the real reason for the study? Was there a real problem present? Now, but anyways, so when we put up a research question, that question should have relevance, and this relevance should be either from the subject side, either from the society side, either from the nation's side, or towards the globe. So, but it should address some problem, and that is very well reflected in the first definition. The second definition comes from Waltz and Bansal, who says that research is a systematic, formal, rigorous, and precise process employed to gain solution to problem. Again, almost the same thing. Or to discover and interpret new facts and relationships, which very much reflects what Paton told earlier. Then Redman and Mori gave a very simplified definition, that is, research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Although I have this idea that there cannot be an old knowledge and new knowledge. Knowledge is absolute. It's only that we discover new things in the process of getting the new knowledge, or getting the knowledge which already exists. So all these definitions are very apt and to the point, and which reflects why the research should be done. Actually, before deciding the topic of research, as you all must be doing it, there should be few questions to be asked. Whether it is necessary, whether I am going to address an important issue, and how much this outcome of this research, because whenever we take research, we put some resources in there. The time is the most important resource which we put up there. And when we are supposed to reach any conclusion, that conclusion should be meaningful. But interestingly, when I was trying to find some definition of research through our Vedic scriptures, and I found some of the very relevant statements which, although does not directly define the research, but are very meaningful for the research methodology. And I have put two such definitions here. With one is from the Sankhya Karika, and pardon me, Govind ji यहाँ बैठे हैं, अगर मुझसे गलती होगी तो त्रिविधम प्रमाणम प्रत्यक्ष मनु मान माप्त वचनम, which translates into ज्ञान के तीन प्रमाण हैं, प्रत्यक्ष, अनुमान और प्रमाणित वचन. And this is so accurate that jnana means knowledge, what we're talking about above, and probably we can also take it with the reference of research, which is a source of generation of knowledge or discovery of knowledge. Teen praman, pratyaksh is the observation, anuman is the hypothesis, and pramanit vachan, that means the proof, the reference. Now, the time this has been written, that time the reference was supposed to be somebody who knows, because writing everything and putting it up in the library was not the normal practice at the time of Vedic era. And at that time, the knowledge persons, the saints, the sages, they were themselves a complete library. And that is why here the term Pramadit Vachan has been used. Pramadit Vachan means somebody who knows about that topic, who is a master of that topic, who knows about that particular research area, that validate the thing, validate the observation and your hypothesis, that it confirms. So that means the Pramadit Vachan is equivalent to what we today say, citing the reference or looking at the published literature, looking at the books, looking at some of the so that is that at that time that was Pramadit Vachan, but today we can find parallel with that literature search. Then second one comes from Atma Are Dashtavya Srotavya Mantavya Nidhitya Sitva. So this comes from Upanishad, which is one must investigate by observing, listening. Listening means collecting data, reasoning, and deep analysis. So these reflects that in our Indian knowledge system also, we had a very firm and very much well-defined process of research available to us. But what has changed? Whether something has changed today, where we stand. So first of all, after going through this, after taking the background of this, the definition of research and what is reflected from our knowledge system, let us have a look, next slide please, on the present research landscape of India. And I have brought some of the very relevant statistics of the research status, how the India stand presently. So presently, the India ranks third globally in scientific publications. If you talk about the how many number of papers we are publishing, and that is from the Scopus data. So in the world, after US and China, we are the third country which are publishing most. We have many prolific publishers among us, and we publish quite a good number of papers in the world. But does our science, does our research, does our social science stand to that, reflects and put us in the same level as reflected by the number of documents which we are publishing in the research annually? Now we have to critically analyze and think about it. Now India is fourth in terms of number of PhD graduates, and I am talking about STM right now. In general, otherwise also, roughly we produce more than 40,000. Means we are addressing 40,000 relevant research topics every year, and that is a very, very good number. And this is just after US and China. And according to economic survey, nearly 1 lakh patents were granted in 24, and uh, that is almost 4 times which was in the financial year 2020. That means we have jumped 4 times for filing the patent. That means we are trying to legalize the knowledge we are discovering, and we are putting up on the innovations we are creating. That is Anveshan. Now some proud now some yeah. Now some proud moments from achievements. India, ये इसको हाइड कर देंगे क्या नीचे? Thank you. Now India, when 2014, we sent our first MOM, Mars Orbiter, Mangalyaan. And then New York Times came up with a cartoon, which you can see on the screen, where the India was shown with a cow, and we are knocking the door in the Allied Space Club. India was kind of subtly mocked when we tried to have our aspirations in the space, and our scientists were our presence in the space. And the community, they reflected that a country which is a developing country, a country which is not having resources for all the citizens, a country which is reflected as a poor country in most of the document of the developed world, is trying to make its presence in space. And this was what New York Times tried to depict in this cartoon. And in 2023, thanks to ISRO, we are the first country in the world who has put our foot on the south pole of moon through our Chandrayaan-3 mission. And this was a big achievement for India. We have not only made our presence in the Allied Club, but also we have marked our presence as the first country to that part of the moon which was till now untouched even by the giants. Next. And very recent, the Covaxin. The Covaxin was produced by Bharat Biotech, which was established in collaboration with Indian Council of Medical Research and National Institute of Virology. And this Covaxin has saved many lives. In fact, this Covaxin was indigenous. It was prepared by India, Bharat Biotech, and this was the vaccine which was created at the time where the vaccines were being produced by some alternate. This was a vaccine which used the attenuated virus, inactive virus directly, and this was very efficient vaccine. And there was a lot of challenges which this vaccine has to face in the World Forum when it came to the recognition by WHO and everything, and that those things are in the newspaper and we all know. But this was still a very big achievement of this country. And not only this, we saved many lives in our country itself from the COVID, but also this was shared with our friendly nations, many nations, under the program initiated by our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, Vaccine Maitri, where 75 nations received this Covaxin as gift and saved many lives globally. This is how the research is to be produced, the research to be done, and to be done for the benefit of mankind all over the globe. This is a wonderful example where India marked its presence through its research to the world, saving lives everywhere. Then now also the biotech industry has touched almost 130 billion in 2024 and is projected to be $300 billion. $300 billion by 2030. So we are making big progress. Next slide. In the area of biotechnology, then ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research. This is our research institute, a group of research institute under ICAR. Now it is ranked among top 5 agriculture research system, and the recent achievement, many achievements ICAR has made. I will summarize it more in the next related slide. But right now, the recent achievement include the climate resilient rice varieties, biofortified crops, where we are looking for iron-rich pearl millet, zinc-rich wheat, nano-fertilizers we are talking about, and digital agriculture networks. Next, please. India, through its agricultural research, agronomic practices, and also Indian knowledge system, which has been contributing to our agriculture passively without coming in forefront or without getting the proper credit. India has been the highest producer of pulses, millets, jute fiber, and milk. We top the world in these four. And also, not only this, we are second in the world when it comes to the production of rice, wheat, sugarcane, groundnut, and cotton. This achievement right now, the India is considered as the bowl of food for this world. We are right now in this stage where we are looking at the population increase in the world population is somewhat around 7.5 billion, and in 2050 we will have to cater the need of food for 9 billion people on the planet. That means for that we will have to increase our food production vigorously and significantly, and we have to address this not only for our country but also for rest of the world, because we have this responsibility and we have been producing this produce which feeds not only India but many countries in the world. This is called Mission 2050, where we will have to bring food in 9 billion plates. And this is a challenge that right now the mankind faces. But while appreciating these facts, we should also appreciate the efforts of those leaders which made it possible. In the left side of the screen, there is legendary MS Swaminathan ji, who is the father of Green Revolution in India. And right now we are in need of the next Green Revolution to address the food security issue. And on the right side is the legendary Kurian ji, who initiated the White Revolution and the milk production. So these two science and the Kurian ji from the social science, the right research, right place, and the results that we are top in the world. So that is what the research should be directed and to be placed. Right now, we are also looking for White Revolution 2, where in 5-year program, the government is looking that from 24-25 to 28-29, we will raise the milk procurement by dairy cooperatives to 1,007 lakh per kg per day, which is almost 50% higher than the present what we are. In itself, it is a very big number, but still we are ambitious and we are going to increase this by 50% till 2029. So this is our target, and this is considered as White Revolution. The first revolution was White Revolution 1, Amul. And now we are looking forward to the White Revolution 2, presently under the present leadership, present government. And this is another very recent, India is known for its presence in the IT sector. We produce the brains which is supporting the research as well as implementation of or the growth of IT sectors throughout the world globally. And very recently, our very young scientists from the organizations DRDO, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, TIFR, and Tata Consultancy Services completed testing for the 6-qubit device, which is a 6-qubit superconducting quantum processor. And India is going to be a superpower in this area as well. Next. Right now, we are having a challenge for the energy. When the population will be 9 billion, when the resources will be required for these 9 billion people on the planet, we also require the energy. And from where this energy is going to come? Mostly, right now, we depend on the crude oils, the oil, and the oil politics, which drives the decisions throughout the globe. And that is because the importance and significance of energy. And gradually, we are understanding the importance of renewable energy and the capacity of the country to produce renewable energy. We are India, and the India is blessed with the natural resources, and that is our main strength. Can we derive, and we should derive the renewable energy from our natural resources, supporting the sustainability goals for the country. And for that, India is right now identifying, applying, achieving its goal in renewable energy capacity. And this is all because of the research which has been motivated in this. India is right now the fourth globally it is it's at fourth position in the renewable energy capacity. India's non-hydro, when we talk about renewable energy, so most proportion of it goes to the hydro energy. But even that, the wind, the solar, and other means which are non-hydro renewable energy, it has reached around 33.8 gigawatt in capacity at this moment. India has established very recently a very huge solar park in Rajasthan, which is 56 square kilometer in area. Just imagine. And it has the capacity of 2245 megawatt energy production. So we are moving ahead in the renewable energy capacity, developing renewable energy capacity in the country, and soon we will be. In fact, this is very interesting that almost 25 to 30% of our energy needs are now being met with renewable energy, and it's a big achievement. And this is only possible because, again, I'm repeating myself, we have started doing research, not started, but applying our research in this area. Then what are the challenges in front of us? And then I come to the next segment of my presentation, which will be, I think, where I promise that I will be critically analyzing and critically presenting some of the challenges. This is what I was talking about. This is the problem which we have, and probably, not probably, but certainly, this is the opportunity which we have in our hand. We are the most populous country on the planet. We have to support the most number of humans. If you simply go with the head counts, so the largest population on this planet is with India. That means we create the largest requirement in the country, requirement to sustain life. We have to address the need of 1.4 billion people estimated in the country, their requirement for food, their requirement for health, their requirement for education, their other requirement to sustain, to survive, to thrive, and to flourish. So to achieve this, we have challenges, and how these challenges are going to be addressed by the research, whether we are taking up the relevant questions in our research which address these challenges. That is the point we should ponder upon. That is the point we should think upon. But still, I put up another figure on the screen, which shows that this is not a problem. Actually, this is opportunity. Why this is opportunity? Because when we have so many human resources available to India, if we can improve this human resource in such a way that this human resource is skilled, is knowledgeable, it can be applied in the society through its knowledge, rather I should rephrase my statement to give more respect to the human resource, that if the knowledge of this human resource can be applied to the society to improve the conditions of the individual living in this country, then this is at all not a problem, but an opportunity for this nation. And this country is full of young brains, young mind with potential to be skilled in a way that can match any best talent available on the planet, on the world. And we should train our young minds to use this opportunity, and for that we should encourage them, find them a right research problem, a right research environment, and research oriented society. That is what is required. This problem converts into opportunity which we have in our hand. Next slide, please. So what we are required to do right now, we are required to change the slide. Thank you. So what we need to do, the country right now needs to move for a knowledge-based economy, or as I say, the research-based economy, which is now popularly known as knowledge economy. And when I say knowledge, this gives a hint towards research. Or why I say knowledge economy? Because knowledge economy is something, as I defined on the screen, a system of consumption and production that is based on intellectual capital. It is not based on the requirements and needs and supply and everything, but it is based on the intellectual capital. So I define it for you. The knowledge economy or the research-based economy is an economic system where the production of goods and services is based primarily on knowledge-intensive activities, innovation, and human capital, rather than physical assets or natural resources. And in the process, what becomes significant? Research and development, education, and information infrastructures are the key drivers for the knowledge economy. Put simple statement where whatever you see around yourself is not put up there just because it is required there, but also an intensive research has been put so that the best use of that particular thing is being implemented, is being done, and then it reaches to its place. If I give you a very good example of that, and we are moving in this direction. We are moving in this direction where now we are gradually converting ourselves into a knowledge-based economy. And this is reflected from the position of India. It jumped in the Global Innovation Index from 81 to 40th place, which is a key indicator of shift in the Indian economy approach. That means now we are focusing on innovation-based economy, where the innovations are finding their place, and from where these innovations are coming? Obviously, the innovations are coming from the research. So what are the challenges? Challenges and road ahead. Although most of my examples are coming from the science background because I am a student of science, but please take it as that this is applied to each and every aspect of research around, and interpret it, because I know that you are much the attendees, the respective faculty members who are attending this program, you are much more knowledgeable, you are much more intelligent in your respective field as compared to me, and you will of course find the best examples from your research field, respective research field, for these things. So these attributes which I'm presenting here, although I am giving the example from the science background or the science, but you will be able to, and you will be, in fact, you can teach me that suitable examples from your respective expertise and area. So what are the challenges of research right now? First and foremost, I feel, is the funding. Right now, we should understand or we should realize what are the challenges of research and doing research in from the perspective of our country. And the major challenge is because the research is always driven by resources, and fund is one of the most important resources, because human resource probably is the most important resource in research, and second most important research is funding. I also priority, and that's why I said that the most important resource in research is the human resource, and the second important resource is funding. But what is the status of funding of research right now? And this is what we individually, we all researchers face: the insufficient investment from the industry, large scale, and because of that, there is challenge. You cannot take very high risk research or the large scale research because of limitation of funds. In fact, India spends very small amount of its GDP, which is approximately 0.65% of its GDP, on research funding. And this is very low if you compare it with China, which spends 2.4% of its GDP, followed by Germany and South Korea, 3.1 and 4.8. And you can see the graph also. It is the data of 2020 and 2021, although little old, but this has not changed much still now. You can see the India on the right panel, red dot, smaller red dot in the below panel. And there you can see the India is spending very small amount of its GDP per capita as compared to China, US, Japan. Those are bigger dots on your screen. Even, and Germany also is in the green one. And on the right side, where you see the world map with the green coloration, you can see the light green is for India. Take this map for its political correctness, because on the site where I have taken it, they also mentioned the same. So this is not politically correct, but we will only focus on the fact how much amount is being spent by India on its R&D. And you can see, if you see the dark green side of the world are the countries who spend majority of a large amount of their GDP for their research and research infrastructure, while India remained in a moderate side or to the. But India has made its commitment, in fact, and India is planning. Right now, the government has put up some plans. The things are there, which are putting up a proposal. There are discussions going on. In fact, if I put it more correctly, that India should spend at least 2% of its GDP on research, infrastructure, and research. Next slide, please. So, how India spends its budget, and I tried to find for ICSSR also, but I could not find that data. But some of the data which I found here for other funding agencies have been put, where the majority of the fund allocated under the 0.65% of GDP goes to ICAR, that is agriculture research, and because we are the country of farmers, and then it next goes to Department of Atomic Energy, then CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, which has its laboratories all over the country, several very prestigious laboratories, then Department of Science and Technology, then DBT, and then ICMR, Medical Research, and then 3.80 goes to others. DRDO takes 31.60, that is the highest chunk, and followed by Department of Space, that is 19%. So this is very much in line how our India is looking its R&D requirements. Where it is focusing right now, it's directly depicted by the R&D allocation of budget, the sectors where this budget is being channeled and being utilized. But look at the right side. In the right side of the panel, you will find the graphs where India is anomaly. I have put it up there with the yellow coloration there. You will find India is an anomaly. Why it is anomaly? Because in rest of the countries, which are basically knowledge-driven economies or developing knowledge-driven economies, there the majority of funding, research funding, come from businesses and not the government. And this figure is exactly opposite for India, where 56.1% comes from the government funding and 36.8 comes from the businesses, which is just reverse situation from rest of the countries. You can see the USA, it is 72% coming from the businesses. Government gives only 10%, 69% from the businesses. The businesses is funding research and development to the universities, to the researchers, to the scientists, to the social scientists, and they are doing it because they find their requirement, which should be fulfilled through research. Here, the government put up this requirement, find this requirement, and drive the R&D business in the country. So this is one thing which is probably has to be addressed, and the businesses and the industrial sectors and the social sectors who are participating in economical activities should also participate more in the R&D activities. Next slide, please. So whether we are doing it, yes, of course we are doing it. The second challenge, the first challenge was funding. The second challenge comes from the weak industry academia linkages. And that is what I was also mentioning in the previous slide, that India is supposed to be driven by industry and industry. When I say industry, it does not mean the industry of only production, industry of only service. Industry means anything which has its contribution in our country's economy. And right now, we are also taking up some of the programs. The National Education Policy is one of the initiative which is supposed to address this gap through aligning the participation of industry, academia, bringing it together, addressing this, improving the skill status of our students, and also improving the innovation ecosystem in the higher education institutes. So NEP has created one path which takes us to the better industry academia linkages, and if the better industry academia linkage is there, we will have more funds from the side of industry to support our research. There are also programs like Atal Innovation Mission. We have programs like Kushal Bharat programs, and also Startup India. And such programs are bringing our youth where they are taking up new products, new services through their research and developing new industries and becoming entrepreneurs. And that is what it is required. If you, one of a very good example, which is more popular because it was popularized through media, there was a program in fact called Shark Tanks. Shark Tanks, if you see, that is an excellent example where our youth are coming up with their R&Ds and trying to commercialize their products. And that is what is required, that our youth comes and brings their skill to develop their skill into a sustainable and productive economic advantage. Next slide. The next challenge is inadequate research infrastructure. And this is a cartoon where I have put it very in lighter mood, I have put it up there. But this also depicts a very important reality, that here is a person, maybe somebody applied for a department of Bureau a bureau, and the government has put that office out of the building and given it the limited resource to run from the limited resource, because it was the bureau of thinking outside the box. So they put everything outside the box. That is कि भाई तुम्हारा काम ही outside the box think करना है, तो तुमको तो कुछ चाहिए नहीं, तुम बैठ के आराम से बैठो, यहाँ पे बैठ के काम करो. So this is what happened when you start putting up your proposal, start putting up your taking it up to a particular agency or particular authority. You do not get what is desired for your purpose, and in that case you have to work with the minimal resources available. And this is a pain of researcher also, who put up this thing in front of everyone right now, that is me of course, that we have to produce the best research with minimal resources. The problem, it's not like that we are not having a shortage of money, research money. It's because our population, the number of, if you go, recently I was a Bonn International Fellow in Bonn, Germany. For last couple of weeks I was in Germany as a Bonn International Fellow. And there in a conversation with one of the scientists, I realized that the number of scientists their funding agencies are addressing is maybe only 10% what our funding agencies are supposed to address, because their population is low. So their number of scientists and number of researchers, not scientists, I should say researchers, they have to give the resources to lesser number. So they have quality infrastructure, because they can give much amount, dedicate much amount to individual researcher. Here we have such a good number of researchers in this, and that is what the resources we have. We should remember that we are still producing very high number of PhDs. We are still publishing. We are the third largest publisher in the world, and still, despite of having inadequate research infrastructure, we are producing one of the best research, and we have our presence globally. I gave examples in the initial slides. So it's not like that all the institutes, if you talk about IISc Bangalore, IITs, if you talk about many CSIR laboratories, if you talk about IICR, ICAR institutes, they have research infrastructure, very good research infrastructure. But whether this is sufficient, because like my university, Assam University is located in a very remote area. There are areas where higher education institutes exist, and they have to make their orientation, which is supposed to be more teaching centric instead of cutting edge research. It's not like they don't want to do the research. They have this limitation of not only funding, but also the inadequate research infrastructure. If we can see the opportunity in this challenge, if we can provide the research infrastructure to each and every educational institute and the research institute researcher as an individual to the same extent or almost at parity, just imagine the amount of research and the research driven economy we will be producing and bringing it to the country. We are going to be superpower if we can address to this particular issue. So we need to improve our research infrastructure budget allocation, and that's why I wrote it. It is asymmetric. It is asymmetric because we cannot give all the resources to everybody because of the size of our population and size of our country, and also Sometimes the funding is individual centric, or the resources are allotted to the individual who excel well in their field, but not to the community. Next comes, and this will be next slide, please. And this will be, and I will take little liberty to express my personal opinions here. And this will be only my personal opinion, and I'm taking this opportunity to speak here because I am sitting right now in the company of intellectuals, and this makes me little comfortable to speak my mind. Quality concerns and research ethics. Right now, when we talk about our research at global platform, and this I'm telling you from my personal experience, that many times they take us or think about us as inferior. Why they do so? It is just because of some poor practice which exists among us, and we should accept it. Poor practice, not all the researchers are ethically presenting their data, publishing their papers, or contributing towards the global knowledge 100% with correct facts. This thing happens, and this is a reality. And if a researcher who also reads your paper and a paper from some other lab, and he finds that your paper is overstating or stating something which is not correct, it reflects the impression of not only you, not only lab, not only your university, but the whole country. When you go outside, when you publish, when you present in the conferences, you not only present for yourself, you present for your country. If you want, this is the responsibility of, not you want, I take it back. It is the responsibility of each and every researcher in India to present ethically correct research to the world. The research should be guided, and this is my personal opinion, and I'm just telling this as a disclaimer. Personal opinion, the research should be taken for the need of the society, human welfare, requirement, increasing the knowledge. Personal benefits, political agenda, and I put political agenda, or the personal alignment or biases toward political stance, I should say, being on safer side, should not drive to design the research problem. The fault lines, the social issues which are required to be solved should be taken into research with that perspective only, not for other reasons. That may give you a good paper, may give you a good recognition in a silo, in a bracket, but overall the research should be for the benefit of mankind. So unethical practices should be avoided in research, and for that we have to be a responsible researchers, all of us. Next slide, please. Then the fragmented ecosystem is one of the issue. I give an example of this. Like, suppose that I am trying to work on some environmental issue, I can submit my proposal to DBT, Ministry of Environment, DST, or even if I had a social impact, the DST has the social science mandate. Some of the projects goes in that direction, so I can submit there as well. But which funding agency will find it suitable for funding and implementation is a challenge, because different committees, different agencies see the same issues with different perspective. And because of this fragmented research ecosystem, sometimes the researcher institutes as well as the research problems in themselves faces challenges. So there is a fragmentation between government lab, universities and startups, and research institute operate in silos. and the coordination is required to scale up the research. That means if you are going to address a problem in a society, that has multiple dimensions. It's not only, if we talk about COVID, a vaccine cannot only be one source of the solution of COVID, the infection which came into this, it was a pandemic into the world. There was an awareness requirement. There was a requirement of isolations was done. There was epidemiological studies, epidemiological rules and principles to be implemented in the society. So there were many things which were supposed to be done. There was diagnostic things, there was treatment things, there was vaccination things. There are multiple dimensions to a single problem. Are we addressing the multiple dimension through putting all the aspects of research at one point? No, because the problems are coming from different ecosystem, and that's why the fragmented ecosystem is another challenge which is required to be addressed when we talk about our research-driven society and economy. How we are next. So these were some of the challenges. But again, one challenge which we are presenting, I think I'm coming on the last part of my presentation. Next slide, please. This is another challenge which now we are realizing that what we have lost, or is what we were in the process of losing, and probably at the right time we have awakened and we have brought this in our knowledge system, because at some point of time probably we started blindly following the other systems, knowledge systems, and I'm not going to define those other knowledge systems, but somehow the knowledge which we were generating, we were using, were sidelined, not researched, and did not get the right weightage it should have. And that is what is Indian knowledge system. Today we know. Today we call as Indian knowledge systems, and the National Education Policy has integrated this component. Even the NAC and NIRF are motivating institutes from their quality framework to put Indian knowledge system at the right place. We have Indian knowledge system centers in different universities now. We have curriculums. Even the IITs and IISc are putting up curriculums which are aligned with Indian knowledge system. But why this was required actually? Whenever we start talking about Indian knowledge system, we start talking about our achievements in the Vedic era. We had the scientists and sages which have given us principles, the concept of pi, whether it was a concept of molecule. We have the numbers and everything, and we start talking about it. But what we have lost in the process, when we did not respected this Indian knowledge system, because on itself and research does. Whenever we do research on some existing knowledge, that is why it is research. So the building blocks were removed from the process when we neglected the Indian knowledge system, and that is one of the biggest mistake what we had done. The Indian knowledge system existed in our society. This knowledge system was indigenous also. This knowledge system came from the practice. This knowledge system came from the evolution of humankind and societies. And somehow when we started following other knowledge practices, which was based on some different principles, we started probably not giving the due weightage to our knowledge system, because it followed a different practice. It was only the difference of practice. It was not the quality of knowledge. It was only because of difference of practice. I'm repeating myself. Where one system says that you have to find a reference. Even if you find something wrong and find a reference, you still find that thing a place in the other knowledge system. But if it is not written, not referenced, but spoken by a person and the fact stands correct, it does not find its place Although the knowledge is correct, it does not find its place in the modern knowledge system. And that is the gap of practice, not the knowledge, which we ignored. But now we are realizing our mistake, because the knowledge is always valid in itself. It's our requirement to validate it for our satisfaction. But what is a fact is a fact. And coming to that, Indian knowledge system never went away from the society, because it was generated and it was present in the society. Even if today, if you go to and ask a farmer who is doing a cropping system, that cropping process which he has learned from his ancestor, he will give you much knowledge about the season, the weather, the fertility of soil, the time of sowing, the time of harvesting, and everything through its indigenous knowledge. And that knowledge is very unique, that particular region. The microbiome, today we talk about microbiota of soil parameters, soil characteristic, the clones, the genetically modified crops and everything. But if you go and speak to a common farmer who is learning everything from the society itself, from its ancestor itself, this knowledge still exists. What we need to do, what is our responsibility? The responsibility of researcher today is to take this knowledge from the grassroots level and apply the processes which is accepted right now by other systems, and bring this knowledge into the mainstream. Before we lose it, we should promote it. And how we should do it? It's the responsibility of researcher. When you design your research programs, when you design your curriculum, when you interact with the student and scholars, you always keep Indian knowledge system perspective with yourself and validate it by the processes, by the scientific methods, and bring it to the mainstream. That is the responsibility of every Indian scientist, every Indian social scientist, every Indian researcher right now. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is what IKS is doing right now. What we are doing for IKS right now. Yes, I'm just 5 minutes. I'm coming to the end of my presentation now. What DST has put up, Department of Science and Technology has put up an IKS division, which supports the project for traditional medicine, water conservation, indigenous agriculture, traditional ecological knowledge, and everything. NEP has put IKS as an important aspect, I already mentioned, and there are institutions and universities, all the universities now bringing this IKS, be it public universities or private universities, they all are bringing their curriculum as in alignment with the NEP. NEP is a wonderful thing that has happened to this country, and very recently, and IKS is something for which I appreciate the initiative given in the NEP. It is very much emphasized there, and it is being practiced right now. IKS centers and IKS based curriculum are already there now in many universities, be it by private universities or public universities. But it is the responsibility of researchers also to bring the IKS aspect when you are designing a research problem and taking up some research. Next slide. So I come to my last slide, that what should be the future direction to these challenges. First and foremost, we should increase our R&D investment. And we are talking, as I already told, probably by 2030, we should be spending 2% of our GDP. Increase industry participation. Then we should be deepening our interdisciplinary research. This is very important. And some of the leading area, the government, they identify some initiatives, some areas which should be emphasized and promoted for research, taking up research, like some of the areas which has been put up, like climate change. We talk about quite much. It is not in the slide, although I should have written it there. No, it is there. Climate technologies and sustainable materials, quantum technologies, genomics, microbiome research, AI, artificial intelligence, space, agri-biotechnology. So these are priorities area. But it is the think tank who is supposed to give these ideas to the policymakers. And there it is your responsibility that you find a relevant area which is required for the society as well as for the country. Then expansion of NRF and state level research missions, obviously because through research funding. So this is the secondary aspect of funding itself only, where we have to emphasize on our research missions, and that too not only it should be pocketed to the certain particular institute or universities, it should spread in the society by public participation, through stakeholder participation, and so that the research should not remain to the laboratories or to certain institutes or to certain NGOs, but it should percolate and reach to the final stakeholders in the society. And that is why we need to strengthen our network for social sciences and humanities, then educational research, grassroots innovation, and of course the IKS linked translational programs. We have to strengthen our academia industrial collaboration, and we have to emphasize the state level research ecosystem also, because most of the research ecosystem is central driven. State level research agencies are there. Some of the states are doing well in the research because of their active participation of state agencies, but their funding and their own challenges. So that also need to be strengthened and aligned with the central agencies. So with this, I think with the future direction, I come to the end of my talk with the final slide, putting up my gratitude to all of you for listening to me and for giving me very precious time of your today's day schedule to this lecture. I am thankful to all the participants for being here with me and listening to me, and I'm again thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to speak about this topic. So as I end my presentation, Ano Bhadra Kratvo Yantu Vishwata. That means let noble thoughts and ideas come to us from all directions. Thank you so much. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
If any participant has a question, you can either ask or you can put it in the chat box also. Anyone? Sir, I had one. Someone wants to speak? Okay.
कल सेशन के लास्ट में डॉक्टर सुजीत जी कुछ पूछना चाह रहे थे, वो अभी अगर वो क्वेश्चन अगर वो कर लें, उनका फोन भी आया था. डॉक्टर सुजीत.
I had a question, sir. Sir, you introduced knowledge, that knowledge is absolute. And when you introduce that, you talked about observation. Anuman is inference or prediction?
Can be taken in both ways, because actually the word which we translate into are not exact interpretations, and this challenge we face because of the language gap.
Mm-hmm.
What is the exact translation of this word in English will be a different maybe to a different person or perspective or that situation in which we are using it, right? So right now, from which aspect that was put in that shlok, that we have to try to understand. From this gap we have to bridge. Like I give you very example of difference in the translation and how the translation for the word environment की हिंदी क्या है? पर्यावरण. हम पर्यावरण को environment समझते हैं और environment को पर्यावरण समझते हैं, लेकिन जो हमारे शब्दों की जो उत्पत्ति है, आई एम नॉट अ लैंग्वेज साइंटिस्ट, उसके लिए आप लोग और मेरे से ज्ञानी लोग हैं यहाँ पे, लेकिन मैं एक एग्जांपल दे रहा हूं क्योंकि जो प्रश्न आया वो एक शब्द के इंटरप्रिटेशन के ऊपर है. पर्यावरण, इस शब्द के को अगर आप पकड़ेंगे तो दिस वर्ड इन इटसेल्फ वेरी ब्यूटिफुली brings the definition of environment and associate it with your existence. How? पर्यावरण, आपके इस सतह से परे जो भी आवरण है वो पर्यावरण है. That means that आवरण is yours. It's not a different thing. It is part of your existence. पर्यावरण वो आपके सतह से परे एक आवरण है. And when you stick to your definition, you protect your environment as your own because it's part of your entity, your existence. पर्यावरण, हम बोलते हैं सेव एनवायरमेंट, और अगर हम पर्यावरण की डेफिनेशन पे चलेंगे तो सेव योरसेल्फ इज आल्सो इक्वल ऑफ सेइंग सेव योरसेल्फ मतलब सेव एनवायरमेंट, बिकॉज एनवायरमेंट इज योर पार्ट, इट इज योर ओन आवरण जो कि आपसे परे है. सो दैट इज हाउ जो हमारे शब्दों की उत्पत्ति है वो हमारी अपनी रिसर्च से, हमारे नॉलेज सिस्टम से निकल के आई है, और उनका डेफिनेशन जो आया है वो उसका पर्सपेक्टिव भी इस तरह से लिया गया है जैसे कि उसको समझा गया था कुछ और, लेकिन जब हम उसको एनवायरमेंट बोल के प्रेजेंट करते हैं तो फिर हम एनवायरमेंट सोच के ही प्रेजेंट करेंगे. बोल एनवायरमेंट रहे हैं तो सोच भी एनवायरमेंट ही करें, तो हमारी सोच में भी एनवायरमेंट ही होगा. अकॉर्डिंगली आपका जो प्रश्न था कि वहां पे जो शब्द है वो इन्फरेंस है या फिर हाइपोथेसिस है, वो डिपेंड करता है कि आप रिसर्च की किस स्टेज पे उसको.
और सर जो again then it should this will also change accordingly. The idea of praman, you said published literature, this is a priori or post the experiment?
सब जानिए
ये जो आपने तीन था ना सर, प्रत्यक्ष, अनुमान और प्रमाण.
प्रमाण, हाँ.
तो आप जब प्रमाण का बता रहे थे तो आपने वो लिटरेचर को साइट किया कि किसी ने
प्रत्यक्ष, पहली स्लाइड पे जाएंगे.
बस ये था ना,
ये
प्रमाण, हाँ.
सांख्य फिलॉसफी के अनुसार तीन प्रमाण के बारे में बताया गया और अलग अलग
जवाब देता हूँ. नहीं, आप पहले बता दो.
नहीं,
नहीं, पहले आप बता दो इसके बारे में, देन आई विल रिस्पॉन्ड टू इट.
नहीं, आप कंटिन्यू.
सांख्यिकी में तीन प्रमाण है, बताओ.
सांख्य में तीन है,
सांख्य में
न्याय में 4 हैं. चारवाक जैसे सिर्फ एक को मानता है, वो सिर्फ प्रत्यक्ष को ही मानता है, वो अनुमान और शब्द को स्वीकार नहीं करता. यदि वैशेषिक में 2 हैं, यदि कई तरह के. तो प्रमाण एटलीस्ट वो हो गया कि जो वैलिड नॉलेज.
तो ये
ज्ञान 2 प्रकार का है, एक अज्ञान, एक प्रमा है, एक अप्रमा.
वैलिडिटी in the sense for researchers who are attending, so that will be a prior validity or post the experiment. बता.
अब ये इसको फुल स्क्रीन कर देंगे. प्रश्न ये है कि यहाँ पे जो प्रत्यक्ष, अनुमान और प्रमाण की बात हो रही है, ये प्रमाण कैसा है, इस प्रमाण का सिद्धांत क्या है, इस प्रमाण के पीछे स्वरूप क्या है. ये जो प्रमाण की बात हो रही है, प्रमाणित वचन की बात हो रही है. That means you need authority who can confirm it. That authority can be an individual. Then that in modern science or the modern research, that authority can be a literature. That authority can be a reference. That authority can be already established fact. But the time this was written, and in the place where it was written, the practice of research was not creating libraries, but creating knowledge, and that knowledge was stored within individuals. इसलिए वहां वचन यूज किया गया, प्रमाणित वचन. So that means that the sages or the itself in themselves, they were the valid proof of that concept. If they speak, they have already validated that thing the moment this was written. But in today's, if you have the modern practice, this has been elaborated.
जैसे ऋग्वेदिक श्लोक है तो वो भी एक वचन ही हुआ.
वो आप तो है उसके बारे में करते हैं बाद में.
ठीक है.
जीटी बिल्कुल डिफाइंड है, इसमें कुछ
संदेह नहीं है।
संदेह नहीं।
Is there any other question? कोई और प्रश्न है?
सर
जी।
सर आईकेएस के जो मतलब अभी जो रिसर्च का जो ट्रेंड और चैलेंज चल रहा है उसमें आईकेएस जो है, आईकेएस की जो उद्देश्य है और उनकी जो भूमिका है, वो उनकी भूमिका उनकी उद्देश्य से किस हद तक मैच करती है, मेरा प्रश्न है। क्योंकि मैंने खुद भी आईकेएस के जितने भी प्रोजेक्ट निकलते हैं, मैं वहाँ पे मैंने भी अप्लाई किया था, मेरे एक भैया भी है वो दूसरे यूनिवर्सिटी में, वो भी अप्लाई किए थे। लेकिन हम लोग देख रहे हैं वहाँ पे ज्यादातर आईआईटी के जो है या आईआईएम के हैं, उनके ही प्रोजेक्ट सिलेक्ट होते हैं। अभी इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम का जो उद्देश्य है, जो इंडिया का जो ट्रेडिशनल नॉलेज है, उस नॉलेज का जो मॉडर्न पर्सपेक्टिव है उससे कैसे जोड़ा जाए, उसे उद्देश्य है ना। तो अगर हम ऐसे सोच ही ले कि हम जो ट्रेडिशनल के जो है उनको पूरा अलग थलग कर देंगे, सिर्फ आईआईटीएन ही इस पर काम करेंगे, तो ट्रेडिशनल के जो लोग हैं वो भी तो ऐसे सोच सकते हैं, क्योंकि आईआईटीएन जो हमारे ट्रेडिशनल किताबें हैं उनको उतने डिटेल में जानते नहीं या समझते नहीं है। क्योंकि मेरा एक ऐसा प्रैक्टिकल मतलब एक्सपीरियंस हुआ है कि मेरे जो गुरुजी हैं वो अभी 90 साल की उम्र है उनकी, तो खड़गपुर आईआईटी से एक प्रोफेसर उनसे मिलने आए हैं। तो वो उनसे मिलना इसीलिए चाह रहे थे क्योंकि जो जैसे आईसीपीआर फिलोसफी का है, वैसे दिल्ली में एक मैथमेटिक्स का भी है, तो वहाँ पे उन्होंने पेपर दिया था एक भास्कराचार्य जी के जो गणित है उसके ऊपर। तो वहां से उनको एक नोट आया वापस कि आपने जिस विषय को आपके पत्र में वर्णन किया है उसके सपोर्ट में आपने जो कोटेशन दिया है वो कोटेशन उस विषय में बैठता नहीं है। आप या तो सही कोटेशन दीजिए या इस पेपर को फिर करेक्ट करके हमें भेजिए, ऐसा। तो वो तब वो किताब पढ़ने गुरुजी के पास आए। तो इसीलिए मेरा ये पूछना है कि उनका जो मतलब काम करने का तरीका है, ये उनका जो जिस उद्देश्य उससे जो उनकी स्थापना की गई है उसको कितनी हद तक मैच कर।
ठीक है, धन्यवाद आपके प्रश्न के लिए। तो आपके प्रश्न में बेसिकली आपका प्रश्न जो है उसमें आपका अपना एक एक्सपीरियंस भी जुड़ा हुआ है और आपका जवाब आपके प्रश्न में ही है। क्योंकि मैंने प्रेजेंटेशन के वक्त जो चैलेंजेस बताए हैं उन चैलेंजेस में एक बात ये भी बोला था, डिस्पैरिटी है फंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशंस की। जो फंड्स हैं हमारे वो इक्वली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट सारी यूनिवर्सिटीज और सारे रिसर्चर के पास एक ही बराबर नहीं पहुंचता है। कुछ हैं इस तरह से ब्रांड्स हैं, आईआईटीज हैं, आईआईसी हैं। मैं इस बात का समर्थन नहीं करूंगा कि अगर बोला जाए कि वो लोग समर्थ नहीं है, इस बात का समर्थन नहीं करूंगा मैं। उनके सामर्थ्य के ऊपर मैं प्रश्न चिन्ह नहीं लगा सकता हूं जब तक कि मैं उनसे इंडिविजुअली मैंने जो असेस ना किया हो। उसके बाद भी शायद नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि हर कोई अगर व्यक्ति विशेष अपने किसी क्षेत्र में काम कर रहा है तो उसका कुछ ना कुछ सामर्थ्य होता है वहां पर।
मैं सामर्थ्य में प्रश्न चिन्ह नहीं लगा रहा हूँ, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि हम लोगों के सामर्थ्य में जो प्रश्न चिन्ह लगाया जा रहा है उस विषय
उस पर ही बात करेंगे। तो फंडिंग जो है, अगर मैं अपना एक्सपीरियंस दूं, सिर्फ आईकेएस नहीं, मैं अगर हालांकि मैं 15-16 ग्रांट रन कर चुका हूं, लेकिन इस 15-16 ग्रांट को रन करने के लिए मैंने कम से कम 150-200 ग्रांट अप्लाई किए होंगे। वो सभी ग्रांट्स जो है अपने आप में अच्छी ग्रांट्स थी, अच्छे प्रपोजल थे, अच्छे आइडियाज थे, मैं किसी को कम नहीं आंकूंगा, बहुत मेहनत किए गए थे, लेकिन सभी को सक्सेस नहीं मिलती है। और कई बार ग्रांट की सक्सेस के ऊपर और सारे प्रश्न आ जाते हैं जो कि मैं खुल के नहीं बोल सकता, लेकिन कुछ कहीं इस बात का प्रमाण ज्यादा किसी को लगता हो, जो कि कमेटी में बैठा हो, कि यहाँ पे ज्यादा ये हो रहा हो, वहां पे ज्यादा हो रहा हो, ऐसी कुछ चीजें होंगी वहां पे जिसका मुझे ज्ञान नहीं है। होना क्या चाहिए वो बता सकता हूं आपको, क्या होता है उस पर बताना मेरे शायद अधिकार क्षेत्र में नहीं आता, लेकिन होना क्या चाहिए, जो रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम चुनी जाए वो उसका उद्देश्य, उस रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम का आईकेएस से अगर रिलेटेड है तो उसका उद्देश्य, उसका इंटेंशन अगर वो सार्थक है, वो कहीं से भी आ रहा हो, उसको समर्थन मिलना चाहिए। और अगर कमेटी में किसी को लग रहा है कि इनके पास जो है प्रॉब्लम अच्छी है लेकिन करने का सामर्थ्य नहीं है, और दूसरे के पास जो है प्रॉब्लम उतनी अच्छी नहीं लेकिन सामर्थ्य है, मतलब रिसोर्सेस, सामर्थ्य मतलब रिसोर्सेस, इंडिविजुअल सामर्थ्य नहीं, रिसोर्सेस है, तो ये इस प्रॉब्लम को यहां से वहां शिफ्ट कर दे या कुछ इधर से उधर, तो ये प्रैक्टिस ठीक नहीं है। हमको सिर्फ रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम तक पहुंचना हमारा आधा काम, आधा उद्देश्य ही हमारा पूरा हुआ। उसको कंक्लूजन तक लेके जाना, उस पर रिसर्च करके कंक्लूजन तक पहुंचना हमारा पूरा काम, और सही अपॉर्चुनिटी देना ये आवश्यक है। नाउ दिस डिपेंड ऑन द इंटेलिजेंस एंड द decision of that particular committee, and this may vary committee to committee, person to person, individual to individual. This is the assessment process. Assessment process के ऊपर हम क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि वो वेरी करता है कमिटी टू कमिटी एंड प्रोसेस टू प्रोसेस। लेकिन जो होना चाहिए वो होना यही चाहिए कि इंडिविजुअल जो है अगर वो सही रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम लेके आ रहा है तो उसको सामर्थ्य, उसको रिसोर्सेज प्रदान करना चाहिए, देना चाहिए, और ऐसा हुआ भी है। आप अगर रिसोर्सेज की बात ना करके अगर हम बात करें प्रोत्साहन, पुरस्कार, तो आजकल मैं देख रहा हूँ, ये एक साइंटिस्ट नहीं, एक एज ए इंडिविजुअल, एज ए सिटीजन मैं देख रहा हूँ आजकल बहुत सारे जो पुरस्कार हैं वो ऐसे जमीन से जुड़े हुए लोगों को जाते हैं, पद्म पुरस्कार जो जा रहे हैं, जो कि बिना रिसोर्सेज के उन्होंने समाज के लिए कुछ किया हुआ है, इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम के लिए भी किया हुआ है। ऐसे बहुत सारे उदाहरण आपको मिलेंगे। तो ऐसे सकारात्मक उदाहरण भी हैं, तो हमको उस तरफ भी देखना चाहिए।
Thank you.
So now I request Mrs. Suman Bishnoi. Suman ji. Suman ji.
हेलो
जी,
जी
I
सर।
request you to please deliver the formal vote of thanks.
जी सर। सभी को नमस्कार। एमएमटीसी असम विश्वविद्यालय सिलचर के तत्वाधान में आयोजित इस रिफ्रेशर कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत आज का पहला सेशन प्रोफेसर पीयूष पांडे सर द्वारा लिया गया। व्याख्यान का विषय रिसेंट ट्रेंड्स एंड चैलेंजेस इन रिसर्च इन हायर एजुकेशन पर केंद्रित रहा। सर ने व्याख्यान के प्रथम भाग में रिसर्च की बेसिक डेफिनेशंस, रिसर्च कैसे किया जाए और इसका क्या महत्व और उपादेयता होनी चाहिए, इस पर प्रकाश डाला। सर का कहना था कि रिसर्च है सिग्निफिकेंट ओरिएंटेड होनी चाहिए, इट मस्ट बी बेनिफिशियल फॉर नेशन, सोसाइटी एंड ह्यूमन काइंड एट लार्ज। इसके साथ ही सर ने भारतीय रिसर्चर्स की स्टैटिस्टिकल डाटा हमारे साथ साझा किए। भारत का रिसर्च क्षेत्र में तीसरा नंबर पूरे विश्व में है। इसके साथ ही चंद्रयान, कोवैक्स, ICAR, IT सेक्टर और एनर्जी सेक्टर में रिसर्च की उपलब्धियों को हमारे साथ साझा कर हमें गौरवान्वित महसूस करवाया। अपने व्याख्यान के दूसरे भाग में सर ने चैलेंजेस यानी रिसर्च में विभिन्न चुनौतियों के बारे में बात की। भारत के बीइंग ए मोस्ट पॉपुलस कंट्री होने के कारण इसे एक समस्या की बजाय इसे एक अपॉर्चुनिटी में लेने के लिए हमें प्रेरित किया। सर ने कहा कि हमें अपनी पॉपुलेशन को स्किल एंड रिसर्च के लिए ट्रेन करना चाहिए ताकि हम इंडिया को एक नॉलेज इकोनॉमी के रूप में डेवलप कर सकें। रिसर्च के मेन चैलेंजेस हैं वित्त की कमी, एलोकेशन ऑफ फंड्स, जिसमें मेनली जो ज्यादातर फंड्स हैं इंडियन रिसर्च में वो DRDO, स्पेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को एलोकेट किए जा रहे हैं। लेकिन देयर इज अ रे ऑफ होप, गवर्नमेंट इज प्लानिंग टू इंक्रीज इट्स रिसर्च एक्सपेंडिचर। वीक इंडस्ट्रियल एंड एकेडमिक लिंकेज भी हमारे रिसर्च के क्षेत्र में एक मुख्य चुनौती है। मेनली फंडिंग है वो गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा होती है, इंडस्ट्री और बिजनेसेस का इसमें काफी कम शेयर है। लेकिन सरकार इसको भी ठीक करने के लिए NEP, अटल इनोवेशन और स्टार्टअप इंडिया जैसे प्रोग्राम्स लेकर आ रही है। इनएडिक्वेट रिसर्च इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है। और इसके साथ साथ सर ने अपनी रिसर्च को इथिकली साउंड बनाने पर जोर दिया। सर के सर का मानना है कि हम ग्लोबल लेवल पर जब अपनी रिसर्च को, अपने पेपर्स को प्रेजेंट करते हैं, तब वो इंडिविजुअल ना होकर एक नेशन को हम रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं. सो इट मस्ट बी एथिकली साउंड. In the last, sir focused on future directions and projections for higher education research. तो सर आपके व्याख्यान ने हमें अपनी टीचिंग और रिसर्च मेथड्स में सुधार के लिए बहुत ही प्रेरित किया. वंस अगेन थैंक यू सो मच.
ठीक है सर. ओके.
PSMS बचा हुआ, PSMS से इसका सर UPSS का ठीक नहीं है, वो चेंज करा.
एक लिख के दे रहे.
इसको So our next speaker is with us. Next speaker Dr. Vedparna De, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हिंदी असम यूनिवर्सिटी से. मैं आग्रह करूंगा डॉक्टर सुनील रमाभाई परमार जी से कि वह अगले वक्ता का स्वागत करें और उनका परिचय दें. डॉक्टर सुनील रमन भाई परमार. सुनील देखे तो है क्या? नहीं है ना? अच्छा, तो उपस्थित में ये सुप्रिया चौबे से मैं अनुरोध करूंगा कि वह मैडम का परिचय दें. यहाँ से दीजिए. सुप्रिया चौबे.
नमस्कार सभी को. सर्वप्रथम मैं आयोजक मंडल को हार्दिक धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि मुझे माननीय डॉक्टर वेदपर्णा जी का परिचय प्रस्तुत करने का सौभाग्य प्रदान किए. डॉक्टर वेदपर्णा आप प्राध्यापक हैं असम विश्वविद्यालय के हिंदी विभाग में। असम विश्वविद्यालय से आपने स्नातक एवं स्नातकोत्तर विश्व भारती शांति निकेतन से एवं पीएचडी साहित्य के इतिहास दर्शन पर असम विश्वविद्यालय से किया है। आप विगत 14 वर्षों से असम विश्वविद्यालय के हिंदी विभाग में अध्यापन में संलग्न हैं। आपके मार्गदर्शन में 8 पीएचडी एवं 1 एमफिल उपाधि सफलतापूर्वक प्रदान की जा चुकी है। राष्ट्रीय एवं अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर आपके अनेकों शोध पत्र प्रकाशित हुए हैं। विभिन्न कार्यशाला संगोष्ठी में विशिष्ट वक्ता स्वरूप आपने अपना योगदान दिया है। हिंदी कथा साहित्य एवं तुलनात्मक साहित्य पर शोध की अभिरुचि है एवं आपके निर्देशन में अनेक शोध कार्य वर्तमान में भी संचालित हैं। ऐसी विदुषी डॉक्टर वेदपर्णा जी महोदया का शोध दृष्टि संपन्न एवं प्रेरणादायी व्यक्तित्व है। डॉक्टर वेदपर्णा जी का परिचय प्रस्तुत करना वास्तव में मेरे लिए गौरव का विषय है। धन्यवाद।
बहुत
अनुरोध-
आभार सुप्रिया, बहुत गर्भित और सुंदर परिचय के लिए तुमको तहे दिल से बहुत शुक्रिया। और साथ ही मैं अपने तमाम प्रतिभागी मित्रों का स्वागत करती हूँ अपने इस वक्तव्य में। और पुनश्चर्या कार्यक्रम के जो आयोजक और संयोजक हैं डॉक्टर गोविंद जी और डॉक्टर केवल्य जी, आप दोनों को हृदय से आभार, क्योंकि आपने मुझे यहाँ पे कुछ बोलने के लिए, अपने विचारों को साझा करने के लिए आप लोगों ने आमंत्रित किया। जैसा कि हम सबको पता है कि ये पुनश्चर्या कार्यक्रम जो है ये अपने अंतिम पड़ाव पर है। और जो मेरे मित्र यहाँ पे, जो प्रतिभागी मित्र यहाँ पे सम्मिलित हुए हैं, आप लोगों ने बहुत सारे अपने वक्तव्य सुना होगा और आप लोग लाभान्वित भी रहे होंगे। और क्योंकि हम लोग यहाँ पे सब पढ़ते पढ़ाते हैं, मैं तो खैर अपने आप को विद्यार्थी ही अभी भी मानती हूँ, साहित्य के विद्यार्थी, क्योंकि पढ़ने लिखने का भी बहुत समय है, अभी बहुत कुछ बचा हुआ है जो नहीं पता। तो मैं बस यहाँ पे अपने विचारों को साझा करूंगी, क्योंकि ये रिफ्रेशर कोर्स है, हम सबको सब कुछ पता है, बस रिफ्रेश होना है। तो अपने विचारों को मैं साझा करूंगी, आप लोगों के साथ में बांटूंगी और उम्मीद करती हूँ कि आप लोग और मैं स्वयं इससे लाभान्वित होंगे। आज का जो मेरा विषय है वो काफी, देखा जाए, मैंने इस विषय को इसलिए चुना क्योंकि आज वो बहुत विवादित और वितर्कित विषय साहित्य में हो गया है। क्योंकि हम जब डिस्कोर्स की बात करते हैं या विमर्श की बात करते हैं, और वो भी स्त्री लेखन या स्त्रीवादी विमर्श की अगर हम बात करते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है बहुत कटघरे में खड़ा किया जाता है उसको। आरोप और प्रत्यारोपों का एक सिलसिला चल रहा है, बहुत सारी गलतफहमी हमारे मन में है। तो क्योंकि हम लोग रिसर्च, आप लोग देखते होंगे कि सारे कोई भी भाषा का साहित्य हो, उसमें डिस्कोर्स को लेके हम लोग आजकल बहुत सारे पीएचडी करा रहे, रिसर्च करा रहे। कहने का मतलब ये ट्रेंड चल पड़ा है। लेकिन एक सुपरवाइजर होने के नाते जब मैं देखती हूँ कि कभी कभी हम लोग, हमारे जो शोधार्थी भी है, कभी कभी लेखिका के प्रति या विषय को लेके बहुत बायस्ड हो जाते हैं। और कहने का मतलब है कि जो रिसर्च होना चाहिए स्त्रीवाद को लेकर या स्त्री विमर्श को लेकर या किसी भी डिस्कोर्स को लेकर, उसमें एक पक्षीयता का कोई जगह नहीं है ना, वो एक पक्षीय नहीं होना चाहिए। उसमें हमको क्रिटिकल होना होगा, हमको आलोचना करनी होगी। और क्योंकि आप सबको पता है कि साहित्य का काम ही है पक्ष और प्रतिपक्ष खड़ा करना, आलोचना करना। क्योंकि अगर हम बात ही नहीं करेंगे, अगर हम संवाद नहीं करेंगे, तो वो साहित्य तो मुर्दा है, फिर उसका तो कोई मतलब मकसद या गंतव्य स्थल तक हम नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे। क्योंकि हम सबको पता है, यहाँ पे जितने सारे हम लोग साहित्य पढ़ते पढ़ाते हैं, हम सबको ज्ञात होगा कि हम किसी लैब में नहीं जाते, हमारे पास कोई एक फॉर्मूला नहीं है, हम 2 और 2 4 नहीं कर सकते। ठीक है, गणित या केमिस्ट्री का कोई रसायन नहीं है कि इसके साथ हम इसको मिलाएंगे तो यही निकलेगा। तो इसलिए साहित्य की विद्यार्थी होने के नाते एक हमारा दायित्व बोध भी है, क्योंकि हम आप सबको समाज का अंतर संबंध क्या है उस पे बात करना वृथा होगा। समाज को जब साहित्यकार कोई लिखता है तो समाज को वो आईना तो दिखाता ही है, लेकिन खासकर जब हम विमर्शों की बात करें, वो विमर्श किस लिए होता है? क्योंकि वो चाहे वो दलित हो, चाहे वो स्त्री हो, चाहे वो आदिवासी हो, चाहे वो अल्पसंख्यक हो, चाहे वो पर्यावरण हो, जितने विमर्शों पे अभी काम चल रहा है, वो सबको हाशिए में धकेल दिया गया है। ठीक है, यानी कि मुख्य धारा से, मेन स्ट्रीम से उनको अलग कर दिया गया है, मार्जिन में कर दिया है, हाशिया में कर दिया गया है। तो यहाँ पे अगर हम विमर्शों की बात करें तो संघर्ष यहाँ पे समानता की संघर्ष है ना? जो विषमता है समाज में उसको परिवर्तित करके समानता की संघर्ष है, आत्म संघर्ष है। बहरहाल उस पे हम लोग, हमारे पास अभी समय है, हम लोग बात करेंगे ही। शुरू में मैं ये बोलना चाहूंगी, हम सबको पता है साहित्य क्या है, उसको कांता सम्मत उपदेश कहा गया है। साहित्य वो है जिसमें मंगल की भावना हो, हित की भावना हो, यानी कि कोई भी साहित्य पढ़कर अगर हमें हित का संचार हो या हम कोई मंगलकारी चीज सोचे तो वो साहित्य पढ़ना हमारे लिए साकार हो जाता है। और सबसे बड़ी बात जो कि मैंने अभी बोला कि साहित्य में संवाद होना जरूरी है, उसमें पक्ष प्रतिपक्ष होना जरूरी है। अगर हम बात नहीं करेंगे, हम बहस नहीं, इसका एक उदाहरण मैं आप लोगों को देती हूँ। आप लोग सबने वर्ड्सवर्थ, विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ और सैमुअल टेलर कॉलरिज के बारे में सुना होगा। कवि होने के